Yes. Oh, I gotta mark you all present. Good call, good call, good call. Because she's busy. You'll okay, but she knows you're at school, which is what she should do. Aren't I supposed to mark you here? Why can I not do it? What? All right, y'all, go ahead and take a look at your first question. See if you can do it. Wyatt's here, arrived. Leo's here, Hannah's here, Mr. is here, Jackson's here, Angie's here. Yes. Here, here. Isabella here. Okay. 7th today. Yeah. All right. Okay, so we are doing derivatives today. So you have a couple rules that we're going to just go over, then we'll do some examples. So chain rule is when you're taking the derivative of f of u, where u has x stuff in it, but it's not just an x. So remember, you take the derivative of the outside layer. So f would go to f prime. You would keep the core the same, but then multiply its derivative in the back. Okay? Product rule is the derivative of u times v. And you'll remember when we do it, but you'll write u and v separately, take their derivatives, then do the little cross product. So it'll be u v prime plus v prime. Quotient rule is the derivative of high over ho. And remember, it's ho d high minus high d ho over ho squared. Okay, big things to remember. Product rule is a plus in the middle. Quotient rule is a minus in the middle. Okay. Then for your logs, the derivative of, let's say ln u. It's the derivatives in tables packet. I love this. Okay, it's going to be 1 over u times u prime. Now remember, if it's just a ln x, it just goes to 1 over x. But if it's more than just an x, that's when you'd be doing 1 over u and then u prime. Okay, exponential, remember, if it's e to the x, it goes back to e to the x. So e to the u would go back to e to the u. But then don't forget to multiply that u prime if it's not literally just e to the x. Okay, so let's do some examples. Okay, take a look at the first one. We want f is cosine 2x. We want to find how many derivatives if it's d cubed y dx cubed. Third. So let's start with f prime. What is the derivative of cosine? Remember, we're going to use snow cone, snow cone. Okay, so cosine goes to negative sign. That's correct. And then remember, I'm going to keep the 2x the same, but then times by what? 2. Because what's the derivative of 2x? A regular times 2. Okay, write f double prime. What's the derivative of negative sign? Negative sign goes to negative cosine 2x. I keep the core the same, but now I have to times another what? 2 from the middle. So what is this now? a 4, because it's 2 times 2 again gives me a 4. Okay, now we're taking the derivative a third time, so that'd be f triple prime. Negative cosine goes to what once we get to the bottom? Positive sign, very good. Remember, your 2x is going to stay the same. But now what's my multiplier there at the end? It was a times 4. Now I have an extra times 2 makes it an 8. So your second derivative would be, or third derivative would be 8 sine 2x. Okay. All right, now for this next one, we want the second derivative. Okay, but I want you to rewrite this middle part. Let's write it as 2 cosine. And then if it's an x over 2, that's really a 1/2 x. Okay, and the reason that I say to try to rewrite it like that is because x over 2 kind of looks like quotient rule. But if you're just dividing by 2, that's a 1/2. Now we see we don't need quotient rule. We can take the derivative of that on our own. So what's the derivative of cosine? Cosine drops down to negative sign. 1/2 x stays the same, but then I have to times by what? A half. Very good. And if I multiply an extra half at the back, but I already had a 2 at the front, what's going to happen when I cut that 2 in half? It'll just be a 1. So I'm just going to cross them out. Okay, but hopefully we know that's the same as a 1 in the front. Okay, next thing, I have negative sign. I need to go down a row. So what would y double prime be? Negative cosine, half x, multiplied by what from the chain rule? An extra 1/2. Now, in this case, they only asked us for d squared y dx squared. That's the second derivative. So we're good there. What do we want? E? Yeah. All right, turn the page. Let's do the second one here. Okay, remember your rules are product rule, quotient rule, chain rule. What are we doing for this question right here? Okay, chain rule will be involved also what? Product rule, because it's stuff multiplied with more stuff. So for product rule, we're going to do this times this. So my u is going to be an x minus 1. My v is an x squared plus 2. Okay, from here, remember, for product rule, you're going to take the derivative of both parts. Then you'll do diag plus diag. So if my u is just an x plus 1, what will u prime be? Just a 1. Very good. Now, on this piece, we're going to need chain rule. Here's why. Your x squared plus 2 is inside what power? The cubed. That's chain rule. Because you've got more than just an x cubed. It's x stuff cubed. So remember, for a derivative, the 3 is going to times down to the front. The core stays the same. What do I do to the power for a derivative, up or down? Derivative is down, so from a cubed, it'll go to a squared. And then even though the core stays the same, what do I have to multiply at the back? 2x, because it's the derivative of the x squared plus 2. So an extra times 2x. Okay, then from there, remember, it's this plus this. Okay, since you're adding for product rule, which diagonal you put first doesn't really matter. So let's just do this one first. So it's 1 times x squared plus 2 cubed plus x minus 1 times 3 times x squared plus 2 squared times 2x. Okay, now notice this second term's kind of a mouthful, right? Okay, so what's the 3 times the 2x going to combine it to? Okay, a 6x. So I have an x minus 1, a 6x, and then an x squared plus 2 squared. Okay, now remember, when we did this unit, Delta Math will take this, but for the multiple choice, if there's a GCF, they're going to take it out. So what do these both have? They both have an x squared plus 2. They actually both have an x squared plus 2 twice. So we're going to GCF that out. So my x squared plus 2 squared is going to come out. And then remember, we're going to open a big bracket for anything that's left over. So from my first term, it was an x squared plus 2 to the third power. I'm taking 2 of them out. So what's going to be left over? 1 more x squared plus 2. And then from my second parentheses, I'm going to have an x minus 1 and a 6x. I'm going to go ahead and just times those together so I don't have parentheses in my bracket. So what's 6x times x? 6x squared. And then a minus 6x. And then from there, you can see, oh, my x squared here and my 6x squared here, those are going to combine to be what? 7x squared, then minus 6x, then plus 2. So it would have to be. Okay. All right, let's check the next one. Is it product, quotient, or chain for the bottom question? Chain rule, very good. So f prime of x, we have a bunch of stuff to the 2/3 power. So remember, to take a derivative, that 2/3 multiplies to the front. My core stays the same, but I have to take away 1 from 2/3. So what is 2/3 minus 3/3? Negative 1/3. So 2/3 minus 3/3 is negative 1/3. And then what do I need to multiply by? Even though I kept the core the same, I need to multiply by its 2x minus 2. Very good. Now, I know I'm going to eventually plug a 0 into this, but before you do that, let's sort this out. Where did negative powers go? Top or bottom? Bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let the 2/3 sort of set my fraction. And then I'm going to let the negative 1/3 power drop to the bottom. So this is really going to go down here. And if it's 1/3 power, you should know that's the same as a cubic root. Okay, then what's going to stay on the top? The 2x minus 2. Very good. Okay. So this is the derivative at any x that I want. What x do I want? 0. So on top, we're going to have 2 times, this is now a 0. So 2 times 0 is 0, minus 2 is a negative 2. What's 2 times negative 2 on top? Negative 4. Okay, now let's do the bottom. Okay, we're plugging in a 0 here, so that's 0 squared, minus 2 times 0, minus 1. What's the root going to come out to be? So this is a 0, 0, minus 1. Negative 1. Can you take the cubic root of negative 1? You can't take the square root, but you can take the cubic root. What is it? Negative 1 again. And then 3 times negative 1 gives me a minus 3. But if I'm dividing a minus 4 and a minus 3, those negatives are going to, and you want a 4/3. Look familiar? All right, let's turn the page. Next one, you have an ln. Okay, what's the derivative of ln x? What's the derivative of ln u? 1 over u times what? U prime. So that's going to be our strategy, is we're going to 1 over u and then multiply by u prime at the back. Now remember, this whole thing is the u. So the first part of my fraction is 1 over x plus 4 plus e to the minus 3x. Okay, because your u is the original thing. You're just dropping it to the bottom. So it's 1 over u, and now multiply the derivative of that behind this. What's the derivative of x by itself? Derivative of 4, 0. And then what about e to the minus 3x? E to the minus 3x times what? What kind of 3? Negative 3. What rule is that? Chain rule. Very good. So I'm going to rewrite my fraction one more time. If you're multiplying this by a 1 on top, let's just make it one big fraction. So this times 1 is 1 minus 3e to the minus 3x. X plus 4e to the minus 3x on bottom. So it originally was a 1 plus, but since I had to multiply that with a minus 3, I'm just switching it to a minus 3. Okay, then from there, what are we plugging in? The derivative at 0. So this is going to go to a 0. This is going to go to a 0. This is going to go to a 0.
Would that work for non-exponential, where the slope formula work for non-exponential graph?
No. So it'd be 1 minus 3. What's e to the 0? So just don't even put it. 1 minus 3 is a negative 2. Okay, then on bottom, this is 0 plus 4 is 4. And then plus e to the 0 would be 1. And we're adding that 1. So 4 plus 1 would be 5. So it'd be negative 2/5. Next question. Product or quotient or chain for this guy? Product. What would be your pieces of your product? X times sine X. Okay, and then I wrote those out of order, but remember, it doesn't matter. As long as you list your 2 pieces, take the derivative, add your diagonals, you're good to go. So go ahead and give that one a shot.
Or it would help. But instead of the slope formula plugging in x squared, could you plug in x times x and it's over?
That's algebraically the same. So you'd have cosine X times an extra X. And then sine X times a 1. Okay, so then which X would we want here? Or which answer? Which one's it gonna be? Yeah. Yeah. Good. All right, 10th page. All right, let's do tangent line. So middle question here. What 2 things do you need to write the equation of a tangent line? Okay, we already have the point. They gave it to you right here. So for the slope, remember, you need to take the derivative and then plug it in. Okay, what rule will I need to take the derivative of that? Product rule, very good. So my u is going to be just an x. My v is a 1 minus 2x quantity cubed. So go ahead and take the derivative of that. You're going to be using chain rule inside your product rule because of this term right here. So what will your u prime be? Just a 1. Your v prime, though, you'll do the 3 down to the front, keep the 1 minus 2x the same, drop it to a squared, and then times by what at the back, since this is a core, not just an x by itself? Negative 2, very good. Okay, then remember, it's this plus that, order doesn't matter. So my f prime of x, this is my slope formula, is going to be 1 times 1 minus 2x cubed minus, now notice, why am I putting a minus? Because negative 2 times 3 is a negative 6. And then I'm going to go ahead and times it with the x as well. So it'd be a minus 6x, 1 minus 2x squared. Okay, that came from this diagonal. I'm combining this guy, and this guy. Okay, from there, I'm not going to GCF or do anything weird because I'm plugging in a number. What number am I plugging in? What's my x value? A 1. So this would be a 1. This would be a 1. This would be a 1. 2 times 1 is 2. 1 minus 2 is a negative 1. What happens when I cube it? It's going to stay a negative 1. Negative 6 times 1 is a minus 6. But then I have to remember, this is a -1 on the inside, because it's 1 minus 2, but I'm squaring it. So if you do a -1 and you square it, will it say negative? No. So this is going to be just a regular 1 here. Remember PEMDAS, you want to multiply these together first, then add or subtract. So -6 times 1 is a -6. Then I want 1 minus 6. Ooh, which means we messed up. That's not a slope. What did we do wrong? Oh, thank you, which is -7, right? Okay, now looking at your answer choices, they didn't put it in the point slope formula, right? They put it in a different formula. So I have 2 options. I can write my answer like this and then solve it to match. Or if I know point slope, which number should my slope be? It should be a -7. What's the only answer that has that? A. Okay. But if you were to put it in point slope and solve it, it should be the equivalent to answer choice A. Okay. Take a look at the second one. Actually, maybe not. I think that one. Last one we're gonna do be on the next page. What rule do you need? H is G over F. We want H prime at 1 quotient rule. Very good. So your high is G of X. The ho is F of X. And then remember, D high and D ho are just the derivatives of those pieces. So D high is going to be G prime. What will D ho be if it's the derivative of F? F prime. And then remember, ho D high minus high D ho. The order here does matter. Okay. So it's going to be F G prime minus G F prime. And then ho squared would be F of X squared. Okay, this is H prime at any X that I want. And I want H prime at 1. So I'm just going to pull those numbers out of my chart at 1. So what's regular F at 1 looking at your chart? -6. What's G prime at 1? 8. Regular G? 2. F prime? 3. So the top of that is -48 minus 6 more. Okay, then on the bottom, regular F is -6. And then we're squaring it, so that'd be 36. Okay, remember, for a free response, that's good enough. If it was multiple choice, I'd have to keep going. Okay, but if you get it to there, that's good enough. Okay? All right, pull out your sheets if you're ready for a signature. Good job, guys.
Desperado hopeful. Tryout week will start tomorrow and end on Saturday. To try out, pick up a tryout packet from Coach Hatch in the small gym or 109.